All right. Well, good morning. Pleasure to join you. I'm Steve Arviskow, Executive Director at Big Sky Economic Development. I want to tell you that the team at Big Sky is available to you to meet your needs, to engage with you. We're doing a lot of that electronically, obviously. So an email, even a phone call to our office directs you to the appropriate person. We'll talk with you, engage with you. We're doing a lot of Zoom communication, so we get to see each other. We do our staff meetings that way. We just had a board meeting yesterday that we did, and we had Zoomed in the entire board, and I know many of you are doing the exact same thing. I want to talk to you quickly about a few things because I know you're busy. You're trying to keep yourself healthy and your family and your business, and so that's important to you. I want to tell you about the board meeting we had yesterday. I want to talk to you about work that we're doing on a statewide basis, and then I want to talk about some things that we're still committed to and kind of some normal stuff, things that we're still leaning into that's important for the community. First, the board meeting yesterday. We called a special board meeting because we're trying to fill that gap. The SBA has approved a disaster relief loan program, but as you make application to that program, it will be several weeks if you're a small business before you actually see funds. And during that gap could be 6 to 8 weeks. You're still trying to cash flow, you're still trying to cover your expenses, and for some small businesses in our community, that gap can be devastating. So our board approved the team at Big Sky to work on what we call a business stabilization loan program. That is an attempt to fill that gap. We should have more information out this week, and then you'll start to see an application process for small businesses in our community to get a stabilization loan to fill that gap until their SBA disaster relief loan kicks in. And again, for some businesses, we think that that'll be really helpful in order for them to kind of move through that. They won't be large. I think our max loan under that program would be about $15,000, but for small businesses, that could make a big difference. So we allocated some resources to accomplish that. We're working on the application process as we speak, and hopefully by the end of the week, that will roll out. Important dialogue that the board had yesterday about that program. So know that that's ongoing. I want to tell you about what we're doing across the state. Obviously, our focus is Yellowstone County as Big Sky Economic Development, but many of our programs are regional in scope. Some of them are statewide in scope, and then I serve as president of the Montana Economic Developers Association, and so I have a broader kind of statewide perspective. I pulled all the board members from META together last Wednesday. We had a conference call statewide. Congressman Greg Gianforte joined us. Senator Steve Daines joined us on that call, as did Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney. And it was a great dialogue on what's happening on the ground with the businesses we're engaging in, and what tools do we need from the state and from the federal government that can support business and communities during this very difficult time of economic and wellness uncertainty. It's a challenging time for us. Great conversation, and then we followed that up with a 4-page letter that went from the Montana Economic Developers to our congressional delegation and to the governor's office to talk about those tools. So we'll keep pushing on that level as well to see if we can help encourage some tools, and frankly, even some forward thinking about what are we going to need 6 months from now? What are we going to need a year from now for the economic health of Montana? Toward that end, META started an analysis several months ago that we refer to as the next generation of community and economic development tools. And that analysis was designed to take a forward-looking perspective on what economic development should look like in Montana's changing economy with the challenges that we had in workforce, etc. We're in the middle of that analysis now. We had to conduct most of our outreach meetings last week as virtual meetings, but we're still getting great input from across the state. We'll continue to do those outreach meetings. I think next we're going to be in the Missoula area, and we'll do that all electronically so that we can glean some input. we really think now is a real critical time to think about how we structure our economic development efforts, what commitments we make in terms of programs and resources to support community development across Montana, as well as the broader economic development tools for our state. So this spring, as we work through this, kind of in odd fashion right now because of the uncertainties that we're all faced with, but we still think that analysis is so important to drive what will need to be new policy directions and new initiatives to support our economic growth as a state. So be looking for that. Let me wrap up by just talking about some things that we had been working on over the last several months that are kind of coming to a point, not of conclusion, but really of a new start, that are a little bit more normal. They're not directly related to what we're all experiencing with the coronavirus and how the economy is responding and how our lives are responding to that. We've been working on the Colson Park Master Plan with city parks for months. Last night, City Council unanimously approved the Colson Park Master Plan. A lot of work to do. That's just a plan. It doesn't build anything until we start developing the resources to build that infrastructure, and we have a strategy and plan to help the community do that as well. But that's important. That builds those assets and resources of a community that can help drive our economic growth in the future, because those assets help us to retain and attract talent. So we're excited. We thank City Council for their vision and encouragement by approving that master plan for Colson Park, and so that project continues under our community development team. Additionally, our community development team right now is reviewing, I think, 24 applications under our Space to Place program. I don't know what the results of that review will look like, but we hope to award some Space to Place grants later this spring so that we can be doing small community development projects throughout the broader Yellowstone County area. So they haven't given me the insight on who they think those winners might be. That'll come shortly, and then we'll make an announcement about that. Just know that all of our programs, Small Business Development Center, PTAC, our Big Sky Finance program, we're all responding to these changes together, but we're also conducting business as normal, the best that we can to engage with our community, and we'll absolutely continue to do that with you. Thank you, and I look forward. If you have any questions for me, if you're a member investor, a company that we worked with, a leader in our community, and you have questions on what Big Sky Economic Development is doing, just go to steve@bigskｙeda.org, shoot me an email. Happy to talk with you. Would love to talk to you. Take care.